All
Hello.
right. Back. AGS.
Two.
Week 2. We got all three of us again for
Sadly.
your debating purposes. And Jesus. I got Anthony.
Hola.
Let's talk. Let's talk. Jesus, why are you so quiet?
Listen, what do I have to say? You took me to a place I didn't want to go to this week. You took me to a place I didn't want
I
to go
took you.
to. So I mean, yeah, I have to do the show. I'm a
Well,
man of my word. I mean, I can't duck out of a show after just 1 week, right? So I have to at least hang in there 1 week.
I came to work very happy for you guys out there. I'm a very happy man. We're gonna go through all the games. We're gonna talk through what happened, coaching blunders. We're gonna talk about next week's games. We're gonna talk about should people hitting panic buttons? Should we not? Should we yell about it's only week one? We're gonna talk about all that. But first, let's get into last week games. Let's start with the lowest game that we had on our slate. The number one game that we presented to you guys last week was McPoon Handler Goat Engines playing Dream Killers. McPoon puts up a buck 12. Dream Killers put up 90. My friends, I'll start with Jesus. What do you got to say about this game?
Where was Brandon Marshall? Where was Brandon Marshall?
Mm.
3 catches, 32 yards, and you're telling me he now has a hip issue to deal with? Dream Killer's in trouble if this is anything serious. Now, he's practiced this week so far, so he's going to play. But a hip issue is not something that just goes away that easily. I'm concerned. I'm definitely concerned there. We knew Golden Tate was going to struggle. Delaney Walker's an up and down type
Yep.
of guy. But again, where was Brandon Marshall? And then this injury supposedly to Russell Wilson. That's a scary situation. That's a very
Yeah.
scary situation. He only put up 13
Yep.
points against Miami, and that O line is really bad out there in Seattle. It's really bad. So,
This would have been a much more awful game had he not picked up D'Angelo Williams in the draft. This would have been an atrocity. All right, he kept it. He literally he
well, I'm
kept it
glad. I'm
close.
I'm glad he did have him because of that I was able to get the number one waiver pickup, which we'll talk about later. What I did with it.
All right, all right. Anthony, what do you got to say about this game? Anything special?
There's nothing special to say. When Marshall has a hip injury, that Russell Wilson hurting his ankle like that, they said he's been limping around in practice, but he'll play. But that line, it's going to get him killed. And then with him and Walker not showing up, and like I said, Russell's his only quarterback right now. There's not really much in the waiver wire that's going to save him. So he's going to have to pray and hope that it gets a quick turnaround, or that team's in trouble really fast.
Yep.
All right. Well, that's the first game. Let's go into our second big game that we had. We had Senior Cynicis. That is Dennis Graham Sr., aka Pops, playing Dennis Jr. of the OGs. Senior put up 83 points, but it was Dennis putting up a buck 13. He had a major loss in Keenan Allen, but he still pulled it through. About this game.
Give me 1 second. I'm looking for my water. I want to pour some out for Keenan Allen.
Yeah.
I do. I do.
Look, man.
That hurts.
Look,
That hurts a
this
lot.
is a typical Dennis thing, though, right here. We think the man is dead. We think we put the man out, and he somehow comes back to life. He does it over and over again. Steve, I can feel you smirking over the screen there because
It's not even.
you
It's
don't want the
it's
competition in
not
your
a
own
smirk.
division. You don't want the competition,
It's not a
but
smirk.
at the end of the day,
It's not a smirk.
Dennis shouldn't have even won this game to begin with. Because even without Keenan Allen, who only put up 6 points, Dennis still dropped
Yeah.
over 100 points. This is what Dennis does. He finds ways to win. And if you guys think that Dennis isn't going to be able to get through the season with Randall Cobb, Larry Fitzgerald, and Doug Baldwin as his three receivers, you're sorely mistaken. Because he has
Yeah.
C.J. Anderson as a running back. If C.J. Anderson stays healthy, along with Cam Newton, along with that trio at wide receiver, plus Dennis is probably going to make a move or do something shortly to get another receiver. Yeah, I'm not counting this man out. On the other side, with Pops, it was just a bad week. There's no panic here. Todd Gurley had a bad game. Allen Robinson had a bad game. Kobe Fleener, I don't believe you know how I feel, Steve, about every time a tight end goes to New Orleans, they think that's the next best thing since
Yep.
sliced bread, and he's the next Jimmy Graham. I don't
Mm-hmm.
believe in Kobe Fleener. So Yeah, it was just a bad game. It happens. Nothing against Pops, but this is what Dennis does.
Yeah. All right. I mean, real quick on my thoughts. Look, I don't think Dennis is hurting. I've been in this situation before, and it's tough. Everybody knows I lost. What's his name from the Panthers last year? Set me back. I did some moves, made some roster moves. Ended up getting Cobb out of the deal. I took a setback in money going into the draft. Is when you have a big setback like this, you cannot lose anybody else going forward. And you know how this season is. We all suffer injuries. We all go through the questionable marks. But I mean, and kudos to Dennis. This is really a big hat tip off to Dennis because he also didn't have Jamal Charles in this game, who should be coming back and should contribute to his roster.
Fact.
So not only does he have that coming back, now to your point, he could still make some moves and get somebody else. And showed up, which I was very shocked. I was not expecting that CJ Anderson to show up. Larry looked like young Larry again, and then he gets the Bucks next week now. I mean, so sky's the limit. I was concerned at first, but now that I think about it, I think Dennis is fine. It's just I really hope he doesn't lose another person.
If he loses,
Now on the
if he
flip
loses Cam or
side,
Anderson, that's where that's when you can panic. If he loses CJ or Cam Newton,
exactly.
those are the two.
Now going to the other side of the roster, I'm concerned for Pops
Really,
because I am because 83 points from that roster. No, look, there's certain guys that started off slow. Adrian Peterson was another guy out there who only gave out 3 points. I mean, when you look at a Todd Gurley shouldn't give 4 points. When you look at not Zeke, but an Allen Robinson should get you double digits.
but
But
he had so many
Kobe
targets. It
Fleener,
was
what
one
was he?
game. It's one game, Steve.
I get it.
Anthony, check this man. He's panic.
I
He's
get it.
saying Pop should be panicked after one game.
Concern. I was expecting more. There were multiple players on his team that didn't perform. I'm just saying I would just look twice. That's all I'm saying. All right? I'm not
Any
saying he needs to hit the
team,
panic button. I'm just saying that
no,
there's some
no.
concern.
Any team with Aaron Rodgers is a contender. That's I just wanted to say it slow so you understood me. As long as he has Aaron, he'll be okay. It's like with Dennis Jr. and Cam Newton. As long as you got Cam, you'll be fine. You lost Keenan Allen and you lose those targets. And I know in the offseason he was trying to trade away Antonio Gates. He still has him. He slips him right in. Zach Ertz is hurt.
Fact.
He picks up Keenan Allen and leaves off.
Preach.
He's still in fine shape. They're both okay. And again, it's week one. We can't go crazy after week one. I almost went crazy just because Ian wasn't working and I didn't know if I was losing or not. And then once it started working, I almost threw up.
Thank,
It
Yeah,
happens.
thanks, ESPN.
yeah. Thanks a lot, ESPN. You might as well have stayed down to show me that score.
Thank
Go
you.
ahead. Next game. We taking
All
too
right,
long on these
next game.
games.
My favorite game. We had
Oh,
Tampa's Empire go into the New York Powers. Tampa's Empire puts up a buck 30, and the New York Powers put up 82. I want to pass this off to my friend to the other side of the screen here. Hey Zeus, what do you got to say about this game? Huh? I
this
know you
was
cheesing over there.
this was a game where the New York Powers. Even if I would have done perfect coaching, I still lose the game, right? But at the end of the day, I give props where props is due. We were thoroughly outplayed, and most importantly, we were outcoached. This is where, if you remember, Steve, you and I've had this conversation. I've even said it on air before. When it comes to
You have.
coaching, you're in a different stratosphere compared to me. I am not a good coach. I will build the best team better than anybody in this league. But if you want me to coach them and make those lineup decisions week in and week out, this was a perfect example of why I shouldn't be that guy that you should count on. Because you look at the points that were left on the bench: Melvin Gordon 17, Amir Abdullah 17, Eli Manning 24, Jeremy Langford 11, Jeremy Hill 9 points. And then you look at the lineup: Adrian Peterson 3 points, Odell Beckham 7, Martellus Bennett 1, Jarvis Landry 5, and Alan Hearn 7. This is
Yeah.
exactly why I can't coach a team. On the other side, Steve, You did what you do best. I told you Des Bryant was gonna have a bad game, but that's about all I got right in this game. I ain't get a damn thing else right other than that. So props to you,
Anthony,
Steve.
your thoughts?
There's nothing to say. A loss is a loss, and that's just taking them behind the woodshed and going to town on them. Not much you can say about that. It's the funny thing is that like Jesus' team has one, two, three, four, five, six, seven guys in single figures. You have three guys, well, four counting the kicker, and one guy got zero. So, like,
Yeah.
one guy gave you absolutely nothing. But again,
You
we
still
just
put
talked
up
about in the
130.
last segment quarterbacks save lives. You have Andrew Luck, who put up 43. If your quarterback's giving you that much, you can take a hit anywhere else. But Dwayne Allen, 13, Cooper, 15. Cooper had 15 and didn't score.
Fact.
Didn't
Yeah.
score.
Fact.
Did not score and had 15. That's ridiculous. I can see if it was
Yep.
like 67 yards and two touches. He had 153 and did not score. And when you have something like that, and then your quarterback giving you 43, that's pretty much 60 points off the bat off of two guys. You can lose a little here and there, and like of course you weren't starting him, but your rookie Will Fuller had 16. Matthews, who
Yeah.
really like had 13. It was just your week. Congratulations to you. You deserved it.
Good job,
Thank
Steve.
you, sir. Thank you, gentlemen. All right, we'll go to the game of the week, the rematch of the championship. That's right. That's Anthony's team, a slightly punty vibe versus you know who is the he's got a bad mouth in Dominic, and you know his team name, and it was 107 Anthony, but it was Dom who came through, putting up 139 points. Anthony, this is your game, my friend. Tell us what happened.
Okay. So Sunday, I'm at a bar watching the game, right? And the Saints game come on, like, okay, they're in a shootout. Let's see how it goes. ESPN app doesn't work. Trying. All right, fine. I'm just going to forget it. So it's in between games, and all of a sudden the red zone comes on. And I see Drew Brees drop back, and he drops a 98-yard pass. I'm like, okay, I don't like because again, ESPN does not work. I'm like, nah, I don't think he has Cooks out there, does he? Then five something, it comes back on, and I'm like, and I text Zeus, like, he says ESPN's back up, but it's not working for me. Like, then tells me what I'm losing by, and I really felt sick to my stomach because
He
like
didn't believe
my
me. He
guys
didn't
are
believe me. I had to send him a snapshot.
yeah, they are doing their job. They are doing what I need them to do. And then I just get destroyed. And in the past, it was always thing about me like, you got to get to 100. You can't get it. I had 100 easy, even with
Yeah.
like, I knew that the New England game and I knew that Carson was going to show up and Dave was going to show up.
Yep.
That was fine. Like, if I would have like known the future, I would have started Jameis, but it wouldn't have made a difference
No.
because I still would have lost at least by 20, but I have to tip my hat to Dom. It'll never happen again. But you guys follow from here. I can't talk.
All right. I mean, I'm going to go real quick. Anthony, there's
Yeah.
nothing, and I know we're pressed on time, so you have nothing to be ashamed about, Anthony. You did great. You did your thing. You put up 100 points. Just on the other side, when you have two guys giving you 67 points combined, it's hard to beat that team. So there was nothing that you should be ashamed about. Then you add 24 from AJ Green. There's Anthony. You hold your head up high. You probably are proved that you're still the best team in the division. I want to say I am, but after that Adrian Peterson performance, that's debatable. So Anthony, there's nothing to hang your head about. And Dom, you shut me up for 1 week. I remember I told everybody that this was going to be a yawn fest. Uh, well, yeah, just about with everything else for this week. I ate my words.
There you have it, guys. There's a recap of our games. We're going to go into the next phase of the show. We're going to talk about week 2. We're going to start with our first game. 2 0-1 teams playing each other. That is Dream Killers starting off at 0-1, going into the New York Powers, who is also 0-1. Fellas, gentlemen, actually, I'm going to start with you, Jesus, because this is your team. What is your prediction and why?
Well, before we do, I mean, we should announce the trade that would get some feedback on it. The New York Powers traded Amir Abdullah and the number one waiver slot in return for Arian Foster and 3 future waiver slots. I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on that?
Very nice. I thought it was a good. I like the trade. I mean, it's a good trade for the Powers to get some waiver claims. I mean, I like it.
I thought it was theft.
You thought it was theft?
I did. Yeah, look, I understand Amir Abdullah had that great first week, right? But so did Theo Riddick.
Yep.
And when I was watching the game, when they got inside the 20, they take Abdullah off the field and they put Riddick in, and basically he's just a slot receiver playing in the backfield. I mean, I think they both scored 17, I believe, something around that number,
Yeah,
I believe.
they both scored over.
But
Yep.
the whole idea is that you get a guy, of course, going to help your team, but those uh, those waiver wire picks are so important, especially if you get another injury, especially the way his team is set up, that is basically one bad injury away from it falling apart, and now your waivers are gone. Like you're taking the risk. Like I believe in CJ and Cam enough that I can go ahead and figure this out, but one bad injury, and now you don't have that. I mean, you just sink like a stone
Well,
after that.
this was Rich that did the trade, so it was Rich that pulled it off. So you don't feel, Anthony, you don't feel Willie Snead was worth the three waivers, because in essence it was
No,
basically Amir Abdullah
no,
for Foster and then Willie
no,
Snead for
no.
three waivers. Okay,
No,
okay,
no, because
sure.
I learned last year watching the Giants play the Saints and watching the Saints go off like that. They have like it's always a guy. It's always Drew Brees and a guy. It's Drew Brees and a tight end, a Drew Brees and a wide receiver, Drew Brees
It
and
switches, it
Mark Ingram.
rotates. Yeah.
But it's not going to be like that every single week. I don't see that happening.
Okay. Fair enough. All right, let's get to the game. So yeah, Steve. I mean, you know where I'm going here. I'm going with the Powers. Eli Manning against the Saints. If you guys remember what Eli did last year against the Saints, it was an absolute
Yep.
shootout. I expect the same thing again. Odell Beckham against him.
Yep.
I expect that. I think Antonio Brown. I think he's going to be good. He's not going to be as good as he was Week 1. Cincinnati division games. You guys know those are always difficult. We're hoping Rob Gronkowski plays, but that's iffy. Jeremy Langford against Philly. Absolutely love that matchup. Then there's a debate right now. Does Jarvis Landry play against New England? Does Arian Foster play against New England? Does Melvin Gordon go against Jacksonville? There's so many different ways here. I haven't decided yet. So, but on the other side, I just look at the matchups. I don't like D'Angelo Williams against Cincy. He'll put up double digits, but nothing big time. I'm nervous about Marshall. You know how I feel. But then everything else, I mean, I don't believe Doug Martin's going to do well against Arizona's run defense. I don't think he's going
Mm-mm.
to do that. So yeah, give me the powers on this one. And my bold prediction here is going to be Eli and Odell combined for over 50 points. My no show for this game is, as I said, Doug Martin.
All right. For me, I mean, I gotta concur. This is the Powers to bounce back to jump to 1-1. Dream Killers are gonna be 0-2. Dream Killers don't have the roster. Honestly, I've said this. I've been a very big advocate of not picking this guy up in any league. I was big on him last year because I thought they would let him open up and throw the ball. Clearly, they haven't still done that. It's not there yet, and I get it. You have Doug Baldwin, who's who could be a phenom there, but until I see it, I can't go with it. I think Russell Wilson is the weakest point on his roster. Yes, he has a lot of
Ooh,
weak other points. Gotta get you
weakest?
20.
Wow.
You
Okay.
gotta get you 20. If your quarterback does not get you 20, you are pretty much expecting somebody else in your roster to put up 20 plus, and that is just asking too much. That's why I think it's his weakest, because it's the most important.
Okay.
If
That's fair enough.
until he fixes that, I just don't see it being close. I got Powers as a wipeout, so my no show is Russell Wilson. The guy who's gonna come back out of nowhere. I think Big Ron Gronkowski, if he plays, he's gonna get two of them against Miami.
My man.
Anthony.
Look, hey, nothing to say. Nothing to say. It's the Powers. The problem with Russell Wilson is that he has an ankle injury, and that line is going to get him killed. And I know that they're playing the Rams, and they look terrible. I mean, they're the best NyQuil ever, because I watched that game Monday and I went right to sleep. I felt so good, but their defensive line can still cause havoc. And the Seattle line is just so subpar, and you can't let Russell get killed. And I think I read earlier today that they're going to start Thomas Rawls this week,
Yes.
and that might help. I think if they can run Rawls and Michael, it might save Russell Wilson a bit. But if they're forced to throw, it's going to be a problem, and that's his weak link. And I think the star this week is going to be Eli Manning. I think watching what you know Oakland did to that defense, and then now I think they lost Delvin Breaux, their best corner.
Yep.
So they're starting a rookie, and they're probably going to start me at cornerback. So they're going to get lit up. Giants going to spread them out, and Eli's going to go crazy. So I'm taking the Powers.
Good.
All right, nice. ESPN, just for you guys, informational wise, has the Powers 106-91. So that little piece of information. All right, our next game. We have Tampa's Empire, who's 1-0, going into a slightly punty vibe at 0-1. Fellas, it's pretty much, ESPN has basically a landslide victory for a slightly punty vibe. So that's why I picked this game second. I turn it over to you, fellas. We'll go with Anthony this time since you're part of the game. Who do you got? Why? Who's your big guy? Who's gonna fall?
It was fun. It was real fun for the Empire last week. It was great. They were living high in the hog, like, look at these points. Look at this team. Oh, God, I feel so good. Yeah, that dream dies this week.
Woo!
It's not happening. Like, slightly punty vibe is definitely beating the Empire. And I'll give you 3 quick reasons why. I'll give you 3.
Is that a guarantee? Is that a guarantee I'm hearing?
Guaranteed. And I will let you know why. Your big gun last week was Mike Evans. He's going against the Arizona defense. They're going to do a lot better than they did last week. They're going to be more prepared. They're going to slow him down, shut him down. Andrew Luck's playing against Denver. They did great against Cam Newton. Like, they pretty much nearly knocked the guy's head off. And I think their line's slightly better than Indianapolis.
Light years better.
Andrew Luck may or may not live this week, but we're going to see.
Mm-hmm.
And thirdly, I think Des Bryant is actually going to have a good game. I think this week they get Ezekiel Elliott going. They get that running attack going. They set up the play action. They give him a lot more targets. He's just a big physical wide receiver. He's not getting a donut in the second week. So I think he'll do well for you, but the other 2 big guns in your lineup won't. And I think that's going to be the downside. And for my team, Palmer did great. David Johnson, I'm glad I spent the money on him. I think Jordy gets locks off a little bit more rust, plays a little bit better against Minnesota, even though that is a tough defense.
Yeah.
And I just think right now my team just better, and we should win.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna go next. I'm actually going. It's gonna depend on one thing. Okay?
No. Depends. You're gonna make a pick.
No,
I would hope.
There's one game that's going to swing whether Anthony wins or not, and that is the Arizona versus Tampa Bay game. Point blank, period. That is the decipher for both of these teams. Because here's why. If they can keep the Arizona team in check, maybe I have a shot. Maybe.
Not happening.
But the reality is, you're exactly right.
They just lost to the Patriots. They're not. Yeah. They're angry.
They're not there. They're angry. They're going to come out swinging. Carson Palmer is going to throw 4, 5, possibly 6 touchdowns. You have David Johnson, who's going to run all over them. I get it. I mean, we had Devontae Freeman and Tevin Coleman last week, but Coleman actually did pretty well against the Bucs.
Mm-hmm.
So I just think it's going to depend on essentially the Arizona game. That's where I think the points for Anthony comes in. So I am in agreement that Anthony does actually win this game.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, I'm going to go quickly because we have to move on. So Anthony's going to win this game. Anthony's going to win this game by quite a bit. Hopkins is going to put up over 15 points. That's my big-time player of the week. And then my no-show of the week I have on this one is Andrew Luck's going to put up less than 20 points this week.
There you have it. There you have it.
And this is one sign real quick of how you know that Steve is doubting his team a little bit this week. Steve, this is not a shot at you, I promise you. This is just basically, my from what I'm looking at from the outside. When you bench one of your top 2 wide receivers for a running back that is probably a free agent in other leagues, he's a come and go type of guy, sometimes drafted late rounds. That's when you're starting to doubt, the matchups for the week. That's all.
All right. Well, that's I like that little plug in there, but that's not the case. But I like it. Right, so the next game we have is Dennis, who's 1-0 going into the McPoon handlers. Actually, no, I don't want to do this game. That's the game.
Pops
that is the best
and
game.
Pops and Dom.
and Dom. We have Dom, who's 1-0 versus Pops, who's 0-1. Gentlemen, who do you have in this game?
I guess I'll go first. I'm gonna go on this game. Give me Pops. Pops is gonna win this game, but here's my concern right now. I'm gonna make this very clear. I had a conversation with Pops earlier today, and Pops is, if you look at the lineup, he's very strongly considering benching Aaron Rodgers. He actually is leaning towards benching Aaron Rodgers. If you look at his lineup currently, Aaron Rodgers is currently on the bench. His thought process is Matthew Stafford, ever since Jim Bob Cooter's taken over as the offensive coordinator from last year, Matthew Stafford has been a top 5 fantasy quarterback. He's averaged top 5 fantasy quarterback. So he's looking at it from that point of view. And then he also looks at it where Aaron Rodgers usually doesn't play well against Minnesota, and this is at Minnesota. I get it. I'm going to pick Pops because I'm going to go under the assumption that he's going to put Rodgers in. I'm concerned about it, but I have to make a pick at this moment in time. So give me Pops, but I'm concerned. My big time player of the week there is going to be Robinson. Double digit points, over 13 points. I think he scored a touchdown. And then my no show of that game is going to be Brandon Cooks. He's not going to repeat what he did last week.
Anthony.
Look, the Giants spent a ton of money this offseason on their defense because of the Saints. When you get into a game where it's 52-49, that means we need to fix this ASAP. And I know they were facing a rookie quarterback last week, but they did extremely well. They were impressive. So this is the week where you put all that money into that defense. You want to see them perform. And you happen to play the team that caused you to make these transactions. I think that, Drew Brees and Brandon Cooks, they're not putting up 60-plus again this week. I think that Tajay Sharp is actually a decent wide receiver. I think it's a good look. And I think A.J. Green just performed the way he did last year. And Pittsburgh just doesn't have a lot of great corners. He should do well. But having Stafford against Tennessee, they did not look well. It's going to be a lot better. If you're going to bench Aaron Rodgers at this point, you might as well bench Todd Gurley because that's really not a great matchup. But he can slide Mark Ingram into there and pick someone up off a flex. And if he's going to do anything, he should absolutely start Spencer Ware. He had 25 last week. He has a good matchup this week. Like I said, if you're going to go bold and bench Rodgers, bench Gurley while you're at it, and go ahead and put in Ware and go ahead and put in Stafford. You don't have much at tight end, but that's going to be perfectly fine. I'm taking Pops right now. It's just like it's a better matchup against a better team. He should pull this one out.
I disagree with you, fellas. I'm actually on Team Dom. I'm picking Dom in this one with it's technically not an upset, but I guess in your eyes it's an upset.
Wow.
I just disagree. Todd Gurley against Seattle is a horrible matchup. I don't think he's going to get any points there.
I agree with that. No, you're right about that. You're right about that.
Then you look at a Kobe Fleener who did absolutely nothing against the Raiders. You think he's going to do something against the Giants all of a sudden? No. Mark Ingram, they threw the ball literally the whole entire time. Mark Ingram ain't going to get nothing there.
But where's the matchups on the other side? But where's the matchups on the other side, though? You're pointing it there. The other
side are Drew Brees, are Brandon Cooks, who are clearly 1 and 2. They're connecting. They're obviously on the same page. You have AJ Green, although he's playing against Pittsburgh.
Okay, debate time. Oh, this. I guess this is our debate game of the week. Then this is our debate game because you're telling me, okay, so Brandon Cooks is a better receiver than Dez Bryant?
As of today, yes, he's got the
No. That's not the question.
Yes.
Is Brandon Cooks a better talented receiver than Dez Bryant?
Talent-wise, no. But is he better today? Is he on the same page rather than Dez Bryant and his quarterback? Yes.
You got it. I mean,
that's the reality.
If Dez Bryant got shut down by the Giants defense, the same is going to happen to Cooks.
This is the thing.
Bring it here.
Seahawks versus St. Louis, they may get 20 points right there. That may be 20 points just in that defense alone. I'm sorry. I'm taking Dom in this one.
Yeah, I mean, you're right that Dom can win this game. I completely agree with you. I think it's going to be a low-scoring game. But for you to just basically say only Pops has the bad matchups, you've lost it. You've lost your mind because Dom doesn't have great matchups either. KC for Lamar Miller, that's not a good matchup. Brandon Cooks against the Giants is not a good matchup. Tajay Sharp against a very good Detroit defense is not a good matchup. Moncrief is not a good matchup. It goes both ways. You could say one way, but let's be fair. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yes, all right, yeah. He doesn't have, but I'm sorry. The talent on Dom's team is going. They're going to win. They're going to put up better numbers.
Fair enough. I'm not gonna say you're completely wrong on that part. So that is a valid point as far as the game itself. It's gonna be a close game. I agree.
All right,
Mhm.
our game of the week, the game we've all been waiting for. Dennis, 1-0, playing Rich and the McPoon Handlers, who are also 1-0. Gentlemen, ESPN actually has this pretty close, 94-89, picking Dennis. Who do you gentlemen have for this game and why?
Hmm. Dennis. Dennis.
All
I know.
right,
Simple there.
I
simple
know.
man.
Look. I don't want to be smug about it, but yeah, it's Dennis. Like, okay. Here's three quick things. If he starts Devonta Freeman, he's going to lose. It's a timeshare now. They're switching those two guys back and forth. Might as well put in Carlos Hyde. Decker's fine. Kelsey's fine. Well, Benjamin against San Fran,
Look
yeah,
at Anthony.
yeah.
Simplify it. Anthony, just simplify it. Look at the first three players that Dennis has: the first running back, first quarterback, and first receiver, and look at their matchups, and
I
just
was
and
just,
end the story right there.
I was just trying to just make the guy feel good.
To end the story right there. Cam Newton
I was
against
trying
San
to bring positive
Francisco,
vibes.
C.J. Anderson against
Huh?
Indianapolis, and Larry Fitzgerald against Tampa Bay. Game, set, and match.
I know, and I'm looking at them. I just wanted the guy to feel positive about what might happen this
No,
week.
Rich is a good team. Rich is a very good team. This is no disrespect to Rich, but Dennis has some great matchups. Give me Dennis on this one also. I'm with Anthony.
Man, you guys think this is where we differ again. I'm sorry, fellas.
What?
You're drinking. Stop.
I'm
Stop drinking.
picking the upset. I'm picking McPoon on this one.
You're on
I
drugs.
like.
You're on drugs.
I'm sorry. I think Big Ben's going to do better than 19. I think Cam Newton's also going to be right there. So in my opinion,
Right
that's a
there.
wash.
Cam Newton's going to put up 30 points this week.
CJ Anderson is going to run all over Denver, and I will give you that.
Yes.
But I'm not completely done with Devontae Freeman. I mean, against Oakland, he's very
He's gonna.
capable
I
of
think
getting
he'll score a
11
touchdown.
points.
I'll give you that. I'll give you that. But C.J. Anderson
All
is
right.
going to double him.
So, all
C.J.
right,
Anderson is
I'll
going to
give you
double
C.J.
Devontae Freeman.
Anderson. Larry Fitzgerald, yeah, we just talked about it. Larry Fitzgerald's going to put up points, but I'm sorry. A hurt Julio Jones is still going to put up double points.
Look, Julio
And he's
Jones, and
gonna
I'm
do
going
it
to say
against
this.
Oakland.
I'm going to say because I'm the only one that has the guts to say this. Julio Jones is one of the most overrated wide receivers I have ever seen. Not that he's a bum, not that he's bad, but everybody makes it seem like every single week this man puts up 30 points per game. He does not do that. That is not his game because of his quarterback. He is not a top
get it.
five. Again, I'm sorry. Go ahead. It's just it bothers me. It bothers me because everybody hypes up this Julio Jones, and I have yet to see him do it consistently ever.
Why do
I
you?
get it.
Why do you
I
think,
get it. Here's where the money is for
Okay.
me. I think honestly, Travis Kelsey will put up better numbers. I think Travis Kelsey could blow up against Houston. I really think so. And Kelvin Benjamin showed me something, and I think he's here to stay.
Agreed.
Mhm.
And
Agreed.
it's going to take points away from Cam Newton, anyways.
But
So
it
then you
also
have
takes
Latavius Murray
points
against
away from
Atlanta.
Rich. It also takes points away from Rich. That goes both ways.
You're right. But let me continue. You have Latavius Murray, who's still there, who I think Latavius Murray is going to do a lot. I think he's going to have a good game as well. I just see the upset here. I think it's going to be very close. I'm not saying Rich is going to run away with it because that's definitely not going to happen. But I would say it's a 95-94 type of game, and Rich finds a way to win it. I pick Rich.
You have no respect for that Houston defense. I mean, this is like the second time on this show. I forgot who was the other matchup that you were hyping up. Spencer Ware. Do you realize the Houston defense is a damn good defense? Do you realize how good that defense is?
They are a good defense, but I just think Kansas City is gonna be able to score some points, man. You know.
Oh, it's gonna be fun, man. It was a great show, fellas. Thank you.
As always.
All right, guys, you have it. There's our picks. Thank you for watching the show. We'll see you guys next week.
We out. Stay
Peace.
safe. Be safe. Peace.
Peace.